What is the natural course of rheumatoid arthritis? It may start as undifferentiated polyarthritis. Over a period of time, it gives the manifestations typical of rheumatoid arthritis. Early rheumatoid arthritis may be a milder disease to start with. Then over the period of few years, very short period of 2-3 years, it might become severe rheumatoid arthritis with all the deformities. Time is the essence here. Unlike gout, where it takes prolonged course, around 15 to 20 years for the patient to develop chronic manifestations. In rheumatoid arthritis, the time that is given to our hand is quite short, maybe an year or two before the patient develops severe manifestations of rheumatoid arthritis. Look here, the timeline of function loss in rheumatoid arthritis. So here these are the years from the onset of symptoms. The 0 is the starting of the disease. Within 2 years, there is a loss of function to a moderate degree. In 5 years, the patient loses severe loss of function. In 10 years time, very severe loss of joint function and musculoskeletal difficulties occur. Amazing, isn't it? Very short period of 2 years is good enough to produce moderate functional disability, and in 10 years patient will be totally incapacitated. Remember, 25% of the patients of rheumatoid arthritis require surgical management. Usually we think it's a medical disease, but 1/4 of the patients require surgical management. The American College of Rheumatology, ACR, has developed certain criteria for diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis. These are called the ACR criteria for rheumatoid arthritis diagnosis. The patient should at least present 4 or more of the following criteria, and these should be satisfied. First and foremost, clinical manifestation is early morning stiffness. As soon as he gets up, the finger joint, the hand joints, small joints of the hand, and sometimes the joints of the feet are stiff, and this stiffness will continue for more than 1 hour. All of us might have some stiffness in the morning, but that resolves in a matter of 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Whereas in a patient of rheumatoid arthritis, the morning stiffness continues for more than 1 hour. Arthritis of at least 3 or more joints of the possible 28 joints. What are these 28 joints? We will see in the next slide. Arthritis of the hand joints, particularly the metacarpophalangeal joints, proximal interphalangeal joints, and wrist joints, are the hallmark of rheumatoid arthritis. Next thing is symmetric, that is bilaterally symmetric swelling of the joints with arthritis, same joints on both sides. So MCP joint on right side, MCP joint on the left side, wrist joint on the right side, wrist joint on the left side, PIP is here, PIP is there. The most common joint affected is the PIP, the MCP joint of the index finger and the middle finger. Rheumatoid factor in the serum may be present, but this is not a must that everybody should have a rheumatoid factor, and also the other way around. All patients with rheumatoid factor are not patients of rheumatoid arthritis. So the sensitivity of this particular test is lower, the specificity is also low. We will see a little later about that. Rheumatoid nodules, subcutaneous nodules, rheumatoid nodules over the extensor aspects, over the olecranon and periarticular areas can be seen. Typical radiographic changes, which we will see a little later, are also a hallmark of rheumatoid arthritis. So the patient should at least have 4 of this list of manifestations, and the first 4 criteria like morning stiffness, arthritis of hand joints, and symmetric arthritis must be present for at least 6 weeks or more. Pain for 2 or 3 weeks in the joints is not going to be a condition called rheumatoid arthritis. At least 6 weeks or more should be the suffering by the patient, and then only we can think of rheumatoid arthritis. The typical involvement in rheumatoid arthritis, wrist joints and MCP joints are very commonly involved. The index and middle metacarpophalangeal joint are the commonest joints affected. Proximal interphalangeal joints, PIP, metacarpophalangeal joints, MCP, metatarsophalangeal joints, MTP joints are involved. Remember here, the terminal interphalangeal joints are the tips are not involved, they are spared. Whereas in osteoarthritis we may have involvement of tips. Elbows, shoulders, knees, ankles, hips are usually affected. Lumbosacral area is not involved. In the spine, only the atlantoaxial joint or C1 C2 subluxation can be the manifestation. We are talking about 28 joints. What are those 28 joints? The 5 interphalangeal joints, proximal interphalangeal joints, the 5 MCP joints, 10, 5 plus 5, the wrist joint, 11, the elbow joint, 12, the shoulder joint, 13, and the knee joint, 14. On one side, 14 joints, similarly 14 on the other side, totaling to 28 joints. What we need to note in these joints here are the two findings, the tender joints and the swollen joints. Joints will have suffusion and swelling, and they will be tender to touch, and there will be pain. So both aspects should be noted. Not all tender joints need to be swollen, not all swollen joints need to be tender. So we need to score separately what are the joints which are tender and what are the joints which are swollen, and then record them, and the number has to be posted in deriving a score, which we will see in the subsequent slide. The DAS 28 scoring, or DAS stands for disease activity scoring for rheumatoid arthritis, developed by European League Against Rheumatism, or EULAR. EULAR, or European League Against Rheumatism, has developed a DAS 28 scoring technique which is available on the net, and the offline also that scoring technique can work. Calculated using a formula that includes the counts for tender joints and the counts for swollen joints. So supposing there are 5 tender joints and 4 swollen joints, you enter the number 5 and 4 there, and then how the patient perceives his health on a scale of 0 to 100, 0 being in best health, 100 being the worst scenario. So anywhere in between he can put the number, say 50% or 40% or 35% or 77%, like that, and that number is put in the scoring, and the measurement of the ESR or CRP. These are acute inflammatory response changes. Either ESR or CRP value has to be put in the scoring, and then if you press the button calculate, we get the score. The score could be anywhere between 1 to 8 or 10, 9 or 10. Any score more than 5 is called high disease activity. Score between 5.1 and 3.2 is moderate disease activity. Less than 3.2 low disease activity. Less than 2.6 we say the patient is in remission. When do we say a patient has responded to treatment? If there is a reduction of more than 1 point, it is good response. Less than 0.6, it is poor response. What are the different functional classes of rheumatoid arthritis according to the American College of Rheumatology? Class 1, the patient is complete ability to perform all daily activities, self-care, vocational and avocational. In class 2, the patient has the ability to perform usual self-care activities and vocational activities, but limited avocational activities. Avocational activities means his sports, his hobbies, whatever he does beyond his profession. Class 3, ability to perform all self-care activities, but limited ability to perform occasional job related and avocational hobby related activities. Class 4, limitation of ability to perform self-care, vocational and avocational activities. This disease is not limited to the joints alone. There are what are called the extra-articular manifestations of rheumatoid arthritis. In fact, it is a short notes. Describe the extra-articular manifestations of rheumatoid arthritis. Systemic involvement, musculoskeletal wasting around the joints that are affected, tenosynovitis, bursitis, osteoporosis, osteopenia, rheumatoid nodules, vasculitis, systemic arteritis, pericarditis and myocarditis. In the eye, we have got what is called episcleritis and scleromalacia. Scleritis, episcleritis, scleromalacia can occur. In the lungs, we have got pulmonary nodules and pleural effusion. There could be an involvement of C1-C2 vertebrae with subluxation at the C1-C2 joint, leading to cervical cord compression. Sometimes the joint effusions and synovitis can compress, and the nodules around the joint can compress the nerves around the wrist. Mononeuritis multiplex, carpal tunnel syndrome, and there is one syndrome called Feltis syndrome. Feltis syndrome is splenomegaly, anemia, thrombocytopenia, and rheumatoid arthritis. Kaplan syndrome is rheumatoid arthritis nodules occurring in the lungs in patients of pneumoconiosis. For example, a patient of silicosis has got pneumoconiosis picture in the lungs, superimposed rheumatoid nodules in hem in the lung is what is called Kaplan syndrome. Look at some of these pictures which show the manifestations of rheumatoid arthritis, both acute and chronic. See the PIP joints swollen here, sometimes tender. PIP joints are very characteristic of rheumatoid arthritis. Look here, the PIP joints, the MCP joints, particularly the index finger and the middle finger MCP joints are swollen and tender. Examination of each of the small joints by the clinician is essential. These are rheumatoid nodules on the olecranon and on the extensor surfaces, which are around periarticular manifestations, subcutaneous nodules of rheumatoid arthritis. Here you see chronic involvement of the MCP joints, the PIP joint of the thumb. The deformity is here. This is called the swan neck deformity with extension at the PIP joint and flexion at the TIP joint. The buttonary deformity, the extension at the MCP joint of the thumb with extension at the PIP joint of the thumb, which is called the buttonary deformity. These are late stages of rheumatoid arthritis. Here also we can see the rheumatoid nodules and the polyarthritis with deformities. We should not allow the patient to get into this sort of picture. The very idea of the CME is to diagnose the condition early and prevent chronic joint damage, such as we see in this picture. This picture is from the American College of Rheumatology. American College of Rheumatology at this web address has got a wonderful album on most of the rheumatic disorders, particularly on rheumatoid arthritis. We have got around 200 pictures which are very useful in understanding the disease. So this you see is the swan neck deformity of these two fingers, the buttonary deformity of the little finger. These pictures can be seen at that web address. Some more pictures of chronic deformities and multiple symmetric joint involvement. See, all the MCP joints on both sides are affected. The PIP joints are swollen, bilateral, symmetric, with the buttonary deformities here, the ulnar deviation of the fingers, the radial deviation at the wrist. These are hallmark of rheumatoid arthritis. You see that the wrist there is radial deviation and the fingers show ulnar deviation in the X-ray. There is destruction of the joint here, osteoporosis, osteopenia also are seen. Dislocation of the toes occurs due to rheumatoid arthritis. This is a normal foot and this is the rheumatoid arthritis foot with dislocated MTP joint of the great toe. Some more grotesque changes: rheumatoid nodules, synovial effusions, deformities in very extensive disease, destruction of the bone, dislocation, osteopenia, involvement of the joint surface and erosion of the joint surface. Here you see the synovitis, the bursa is filled with the synovial inflammatory fluid there. The foot joints show deformity and dislocation of the MTP joints. The left hand side is the normal X-ray of a hand. This is the X-ray of a rheumatoid arthritis patient. You see the MCP joints, the PIP joints are involved. There is destruction, there is articular cartilage is damaged, there is osteoporosis, there is synovial thickening and inflammatory arthritis of the small joints of the hand. As I told you earlier, the C1, C2 vertebrae are affected. There is erosion of the odontoid process of the axis. The odontoid process, when it is eroded here, it subluxates. See, normally this odontoid process should be opposing the anterior ring of the axis, and we see because there is an erosion of the joint surface of the atlantoaxial joint, the odontoid process dislocates, and this gap shows that subluxation of the atlantoaxial joint. This can lead to compression of the spinal cord at the very high level and can produce neurological manifestations. One has to be very careful in examining these patients, particularly when you examine the neck of a rheumatoid arthritis patient. You may endanger the patient by precipitating a subluxation and cord compression when you do neck testing for neck rigidity, or when you intubate the patient, or even you extend the neck of the patient for examination purpose. So one has to be very careful with patients of rheumatoid arthritis to have these joint afflictions of C1 and C2. So these are some of the pictorial explanations of how the disease presents in the acute as well as in the chronic stages, including some X-ray pictures.